How to invest in Bitcoin online for beginners. In this video, we're going to talk about this topic because Bitcoin has been trending a lot lately, especially since it just surpassed $100,000. This means that a lot of people, due to FOMO and excitement, are going to want to invest in Bitcoin. But I want to recommend right now that you don't do it, not because Bitcoin is bad. Honestly, I think Bitcoin is great. It's just that you shouldn't invest at this moment because most people are likely to jump in now, and probably in a few weeks or months, Bitcoin is going to start losing value since it's currently at its peak. So this means that this is where the vast majority of people get into, and this is where the vast majority of people also lose their money. That is why, as always, there is a phrase that says that you have to buy in red and sell in green. That is, in red when everyone is saying no, but that Bitcoin is a scam. But my God, that cryptocurrency scams thousands of people, and that is where many people say I am not going to invest, and many others invest. They leave their money there, which is basically called holding, keeping their money in Bitcoin. Over time, they come back and see that they've actually had a really good return. Now, I'm going to show you how to do this in case you still want to make some small moves. First of all, to make this as easy as possible for beginners, you should do it through an exchange. In this case, we have Binance, OKX, Crypto.com, and Bybit. If we look at the top exchanges, we see this whole list here. You can practically use any of them. It just depends on the trading volume you have, meaning where the majority of transactions happen. And right now, the biggest one is Binance, so let's go ahead and do it directly on this platform. However, in the description, I'm going to leave you the link to all these other exchanges so you can come and register if you want to. That way, you can choose to do it on this Binance platform or the others. Now, to get started, in most exchanges, we have the option to buy crypto directly, and we can do this using our credit or debit card in the vast majority of cases. Sometimes, here, what you can do is directly choose your country's currency. For example, in my case, it would be Colombian pesos. And here, it automatically gives me the option to use a credit card or a debit card to make a deposit. And here, enter the amount of money you want. If people from other countries are watching, we'll do it directly in dollars because it's much easier to understand. And then at the bottom, in this case, we would put BTC, which is Bitcoin, and here we would be directly buying Bitcoin. So, well, we would enter how much we want. For example, $10,000 tells us that $10,000 is equal to 0.09 Bitcoin, and this is what we would be buying. This isn't the best way since you're probably going to get hit with a super high fee on your card. Not just the card itself, but there could also be taxes from your country for international purchases or things like that. So, it's an option, but not the best one. The next option is to use the P2P market, which we have here in the trading section. Don't worry, it's not like you're going to be trading right now. We're just going to use this P2P option, which basically translates to peer-to-peer, person-to-person. Well, many people call it different things, but basically, you're going to trade with other people within Binance. So what you're going to do is exchange your money for what you need from other people. Let's go in there and we'll realize that here we can buy and sell. In this case, what we want to do is buy Bitcoin, so we're going to choose Bitcoin here. Let's make sure we're in the buying section. And when we're there, we'll check among all these options to see who has the lowest price and, most importantly, is safe. I'll tell you how to verify that. But before we get there, we need to change the currency you're going to use to buy. Here, it's best to put your local currency, in this case, Colombian pesos, and you'll see local payment methods pop up. The good thing is that most of them aren't cards or anything. They're bank transfers. So the price or fees might change in your country. But most of the time, it's not very expensive, and sometimes it can even be free to make this transfer from the banks. What can change is the fee when you're buying. And there is one very important thing, and that is that every person here has a different price. Each one sets it at a specific price. So there are people who will pay you or charge you more for Bitcoin, and there are others who will charge you less. But cheap isn't always the best option, because when you're buying, you might end up dealing with someone who doesn't have the best rating. And how do we notice this? First of all, let's take a look at their name. Let's see if the name is appropriate for the site where you are buying. For example, here is Cambios Bogota DC, so it is a person from here. From Colombia, and in other countries, they might have a similar name, but sometimes they have really strange names, like from Russia or something, which can raise suspicion, but they're not always scams. What you'll see after this is the number of orders they've completed. Basically, the number of orders is the amount of requests they've handled, meaning you're going to buy Bitcoin from him, and you're buying through one of these two platforms. Well, that's already in order. So in this case, this person has completed 5,759. They're at 181, and so on. Then, the completion percentage, which basically is how many of those orders have been completed, in this case. 99.90. This is not really such a strong indicator, because it can be that sometimes this gets cancelled, because the other person did not send the money or send it wrong, because there are certain conditions to do so. So, it is an indicator to take into account, but it is not really the most important one. The most important one is this one over here, the 99.99 that shows up here. And these are the ratings from people who have done transactions with this person here. So, they rate based on how long it took, whether they sent the full amount of money or not, etc., etc. And then another thing that might interest you, or maybe not, is the average time it takes to complete the transaction. This amount of time that shows up here. What it shows us is that when, for example, I send money through one of these payment methods, how long it usually takes for them to respond to my request and send me the money or the corresponding Bitcoin. Once you've verified this, you also need to check that the person is verified, that they're a verified trader. This is directly through Binance, and this obviously provides greater security. And the other thing, now that we started looking at, it's about availability, meaning the amount of money this person has available. In this case, since we're talking about Bitcoin, it tells us that this person over here has this amount of Bitcoin available to sell to me. This means that he has this amount in Colombian pesos to sell to me, between $28,000 and $1,381,000. And for example, if I want to send $5 million, well, we realize that I couldn't do it here, because he doesn't have enough to give me. And that's where you have to start looking at other options, because it might be that this is the best price, or the best deal, the cheapest, so to speak, for buying. But it could also be that he doesn't have enough of the amount we need. What we could do is buy part of it from him. For example, let's say I want the 5 million, so I buy this from him, and then I buy the rest from another person. If I don't want to do this, and I don't want to be making several transactions, then what I do is look for a single person who has enough available that I need. For example, in this case, this Nexus. Well, he would have it, because you see he has between 300,000 and 84 million pesos. This here doesn't mean that he's selling me Colombian pesos. It's just that what it does is put this amount of money in Colombian pesos. So you have a reference number and you know. How much do you have available in your local currency? Remember that I'm taking this because I'm from Colombia. But if you, for example, pay in dollars, then it's going to be the same in dollars. For example, this person has between $10 and $27 in Bitcoin available to sell to me. This person has between 10 and 210. This person has between 1,000 and 13,000 and so on. Now we're going to come over here. Let's put it in Colombian pesos. And here we have that. Now, the next thing to check. It depends on the country you're in, where you're going to pay from. For example, in this case, this person has Nike, they have Bancolombia, just these two banks. But these guys here already have others. For example, this one has Bancolombia, Falabella, BVA, Scotiabank, or El Patria. And this is only going to depend on where you have your money. You might want to transfer to Nike because you have money in Nike, and it could be that you have a transfer for Bancolombia. So you do it right there. So it's important that you check this too, because it could be that you have the money in a place that these people don't accept. Now, let's say I want to. Look, there's something really important. Always update and verify. Look, this person has already lowered the value of the Bitcoin they had available, so keep that in mind too. Now let's go ahead and buy Bitcoin from this person. Let's say we want to buy 1 million Colombian pesos. So here it tells us that we're going to pay this person 1 million pesos, and we're going to receive this in Bitcoin. But before we go over there to check this, we need to come here to the left. Why? Because all sellers, or those who do this kind of transaction, always have conditions. So please read the terms and conditions. In this case, only account holders, not third parties. What does this mean? So if I, for example, set up my payment method in Nike and my name is Camilo, but the person I'm sending the money to, the account holder, is named, I don't know, Ramiro, for example. So it won't work because I have to be the one whose name is here on Binance and the one sending the money from my bank account. Stop. I mean, it can't be in someone else's name. Then, if the account holder isn't the same as the Binance account holder, don't make the transfer. Important. Then, if you do that, the money will be refunded to you, minus the 4 per thousand, which is a tax that's charged here in Colombia. Then only, transfers from Anikian Zone Colombia to Bancolombia are accepted. In other words, only this person accepts transfers from the same bank, because surely, let's say, someone else might have an account at a different bank and want to make a transfer to either of these two entities. That appears here. Well, this specific person doesn't accept that. So the same goes for this. Read this in detail. Transfers via bank correspondent or ATM are not accepted. And in X, I received the transfers in a third-party account in the name of Banco Polgarin. So, this is another thing, because it might be that you don't agree with this. I don't know, it doesn't sit right with you, so you switch to the next person and check. For example, you might want to buy from this one instead, and you see that. The only condition they have is that they don't accept payments from third parties, but this person is very likely to accept payments. Look, for example, they even accept cash deposits at the bank, so they accept more things than the person above. So let's go back to the previous one. Let's say I meet all these conditions, I have no problem, and I'm going to pay this person. In fact, I think we need to refresh because I believe that the person who was in first place has already sold everything they had, so we no longer have that option. We have to go with the second one. That's why you need to stay updated, keep checking, and make the transaction quickly if you want to buy something. So, well, let's click buy here. Let's say to this person 1,123,123, and here it tells us to set my payment method from which bank we are going to pay. So let's assume Banco Falabella. Let's go ahead and buy Bitcoin. It will automatically generate the transaction here and create a chat with the person. So it says, greetings, please maintain communication at all times, specify the bank and payment method, transfer, deposit, cash, transfer, blah blah blah. What many people do is that here on the left side, they sometimes put all the available numbers. In this case, this person is not doing that. This document number and this account number are not valid because they are only 4 digits, and a savings account usually has many more. So what this person expects is for you to write to them through the chat and say, "Hi, good afternoon. I'm going to deposit from my account at Banco Falabella," for example. And he's going to tell you, of course, this is the account number and you transfer it. Now, the only thing you need to do is that. So, once it's confirmed, first of all, if the details show up here, still don't transfer. Don't transfer just yet. Instead, what you're going to do is write to the person here through this chat. And by the way, never do what this person is asking you to do via WhatsApp. Never do that because you risk that if something happens and you get scammed, the bank will not be able to respond to you. No matter how many ratings the seller has or if they tell you it's cheaper somewhere else, don't do it because it's going to end up costing you more since you'll get scammed. Sometimes yes, sometimes no, but it's still better to stay cautious. So, once you're in this chat, what you're going to do is say, "Hi, I want to pay you with Banco Falabella," for example, and he's going to send you the details. There, you directly make the transfer from your bank, you make the payment, take a screenshot of the payment, and send it through here. Even if the person doesn't ask you for it, send the transfer through here because if something were to happen, this will serve as proof for the bank. You'll have the screenshot showing that you did make the transfer, and from there you can file a complaint. So once you make that transfer, the person will respond with "Done, received," and once you make the transfer, you click on count and it says "Transferred, notified the seller." The only thing you have to do is wait for the person to confirm that they received the money and give you back your account ID. Then it says an order has been created. Pay the seller within this time frame. If you don't do it, the order will be automatically canceled. So once you do this, you just notify them, and they accept the transaction. Here, they will cancel this order to put it here, and if you haven't paid the seller, confirm the cancellation. And you don't want to do anything else here, and that's it. What you're going to do is go directly to the top right where your name or this icon appears, and here you can go directly to orders. Then you can see where it says P2P orders, and here you'll see the history. What you need to do is filter by date. So here it says processing, or you can put all directly. For example, this was the one I made, and here you'll filter by date to see if the person has already deposited for you or if it was canceled or not. For example, I'm going to put one here that I did back then, which was just this one for $20. And look, it says completed and already received with this person at that time. So I received the money, and once you have it, the only thing left to do is come here to this wallet icon, and go to where it says overview. Here, you'll see all the cryptos you have available right now, all the cryptocurrencies, and that's it. You'll receive everything. And here, in Bitcoin, you would see the available money. And from here, you can transfer it to a cold wallet, which is another topic we'll discuss in another video if you like this one. So I hope this was helpful to you. See you next time. Bye bye.